Hello everyone, welcome to the Maple Table. My name's Nathaniel. If you enjoy role-playing games and getting content around role-playing discussions, then remember to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so that you get to know when the videos come out. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 types of attacks that you can do in Starfinder as part of our basic training series: melee, ranged, magic, thrown. If you want to see some of the other videos that I've done in this series, we have melee combat over here. If you would like to get a few more options for your ranged characters and maybe a few attacks that are not very commonly used in the game system right now, then click up here and take a look at the ranged combat basics. But today, we're going to be talking about Space Wizards. Before we get too far into space magic, I had a question for you, my viewers. I've had some videos done in the past and the audio on them was all screwed up. I had intended to try to fix that, but upon looking at the original recordings, I don't think I can. So that leaves me with basically 2 options. And I would like to know what you would like to see from me. Would you like me to leave those videos as is and we can just deal with all the sound coming out of the left channel? If I re-record the content that's screwed up, I will have to redo it all from scratch, which might actually give me a chance to freshen it up with some of the editing and flow that I've been finding. I'll leave that up to you guys as to whether or not you want me to do that or if you think it's worth it. So let me know in the comments below about that. And if you have anything to say about the magic builds that I'm going to be talking about here, please feel free to leave a comment about those as well. So let's get into it. So buckle up and prepare for space magic. In today's video, we're going to talk about spells and how they actually work. I might mention a few cool spells or ones that I think are particularly useless, but the focus of this video is not going to be on the actual spells themselves. I will be doing a separate video on that later. So you want to throw fireballs and lightning at your opponents? Well, spellcasting is going to be a great choice for you. The reason being, casting spells in Starfinder is super easy for the player. Let me give you a little example. As a player, if you want to cast a spell, here's what you do. I want to cast Mind Thrust. Okay, what's your role? There isn't one for me. Fun fact about magic when it comes to Starfinder, most spells just hit. You don't really have to roll for most of them, and the ones you do, they will state in their spell list or in the description of the spell, they will say that you have to make a ranged attack roll for them to hit. If they don't state this specifically, then your spells just happen, provided you have the spell slots for them. When it does come to casting your spells, what you do need to be aware of as the player is the caster level with which you are casting the spell. Here's what I mean when I say that. So you are a 4th level mystic, and you have just cast Mind Thrust on some creature. So what level is your spell? Because the creature will get a spell resistance check. And if they succeed, they still take damage, but they will take half damage. Pay attention to the resistance of your spells, because even though you may automatically hit with your spell, the creatures can still save and take half damage or no effect at all. So pay attention to what the resistance is. As a player, if you are a 4th level caster, your check is now made at base 10 plus your caster level, plus the spell level. That's what the DC is for the saving throw. This is more important for the GM to be aware of, but you will be asked what is your spell level being cast at, or what is your attack level of the spell. So as a player, you need to kind of know how to do this mental math so that when the GM asks you, what am I rolling against for the resistance, you can tell them. Now for GMs, you have a little bit of extra math in this because you have to obviously know what you're casting against. You also need to be aware of tracking for the health for the creatures and everything else. So there is a little bit more math involved for you as the game master on the magic side of things. And then there's feats for, spell penetration and making the caster level higher for the players, so they just have to kind of be aware that these are feats that are out there and make sure your players know that they're adding that in or subtracting, whatever the case may be, when they are giving you the total roll. So how many spells do I actually get to cast in a day? Well, there is a table for all the caster types, and you would just consult this table against your key ability score. For Mystic, you're going to be looking at Intelligence. For the Witch Warper, you're going to be looking at Charisma, and the Technomancer is also going to use Intelligence as a key ability score. Once your spells are cast, you do need to basically take a long rest, 8 hours of solid rest before your spells come back. So please keep that in mind. The only exception to this would be your, I guess in D&D, they would be called your cantrip level spells, your level 0 spells. You can cast those as many times as you want at will, but they are not very powerful. But you do have that option if you're going to play a spellcaster. Some really cool spells will be multi-leveled spells. And here's what I mean by that. When I used Mind Thrust in my previous example, Mind Thrust is a multi-level spell, and it can be cast at 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th level. 6th level is your highest tier of spells. Here's where it gets interesting. At level 1, Mind Thrust takes up a 1st level spell slot. But once you gain the ability to cast 2nd level spells, Mind Thrust is also in the 2nd tier category. So what happens is if you take Mind Thrust at spell level 2 from your level 1, you no longer have it in your level 1 spell slot, but you can cast Mind Thrust at 2nd or 1st level without it taking up the spell slot. If you cast it at 1st level, you still have to take away one of your 1st level spell slots. But it actually frees up that 1st level slot for knowing a different type of spell. So you can actually swap it out for a different level 1 spell once you've moved it into the 2nd tier. And the same happens when you move it from 2nd to 3rd to 4th to 5th to 6th, all the way down. I believe Mystic Cure is also another one that's kind of weird like this. Mind Thrust is a really powerful damage dealing spell, and Mystic Cure is a really powerful cure spell, healing spell. As I had mentioned before, Caustic Conversion is actually one of the spells that you need to make an attack roll for it to hit your opponent. So when you're picking your spells and you're picking your class, just be aware that some of this is out there and you should be paying attention. One thing that I will mention, when you are casting spells, as it's defined in the book, the core rule book, when you cast a spell, everybody knows about it. It's not done silently. It's always got some sort of hand gesture component and or some sort of flashy light. So if you cast a spell, everybody will know you are casting a spell. When it comes to magic, there are several schools of magic that one spellcaster can follow or pull from. Abjuration, conjuration, divination, enchantment, evocation, illusion, necromancy, and transmutation. As far as the schools go, they really just provide some flair and role-playing for the spells. Mechanically in this book, a spell is a spell. If you pull a spell from the transmutation section, this does not mean that you cannot take spells from the evocation school of magic. To me, I don't like the fact that there are these schools if they have no real impact to the game or its mechanics. The only reason to limit yourself from one school of spells against another is mostly a roleplay reason, which is actually what my character currently does, because they despise the undead so much, they refuse to learn any necromantic spells. But that's really the only reason. Other than a character reason, the schools don't really matter. I hope you've enjoyed the Starfinder basic training around magic. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the magic system and how things work right now. What are some of your favorite spells? Also, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed today's video, as I'm going to be releasing tons more content around Starfinder, and you can come to my channel to find it. Please let me know in the comments below about what I had mentioned earlier in the video about redoing some of my original videos and just fixing up the sound. The only way to do that right now is to basically start from scratch and just redo them entirely. If you want that, let me know. I'm happy to do it. Be a lot more work on my end to do that, as I would hope to not make them part of my regular Monday, Thursday schedule, so I'd have to be uploading them on different days. If it doesn't bother the rest of you that much, then fine, I will leave it as is, and but I probably will redo them at some point in the future anyways. With that, Thanks for stopping by, everyone.